and solution. The aggregates actually from the functionalities we saw and from the added, let's say, tools or functions or let's say features, parameters that we can actually incorporate within the SQL queries. The top here, the top keyword actually based on which we are going to extract specific number of outcomes. Means, as per the example I have in here, we are requested to extract the list of the candidates actually they are coming to our interview during the period 1st of March until the 31st of March, and we need only the list of three candidates, the top three candidates during that period of interview. What should we do? Amongst the solutions, and one of the very best solutions, that we use the keyword top, since we are going to select the list of the top candidates based on time-wise. Actually, we are going to consider the time as a criterion via which we are going to choose the top 3 or top n candidates. If we are going to choose candidates based on different actually constraints, we would state that. But for our example here, we're going to specify the top. We are going to list the top 3 candidates. Top 3, the number 3, the first, the second, the third. They are ordered and they are at the top based on time. So the first in time, the second in time, the third in time, and so on. So because of this, we use the order by here. We are going to extract whatever we thought that we are going to extract as per the let's say the format. In addition to that, let me come back. In addition to that, the sort, or let's say the display, or the fact of being the top, it is based on the time only. So it's a chronological order, and then after we're going to display only the top 3. So chronological order, so order by, and the top 3, we use the top keyword and specify the number, how much you want from those lists, or from this list. Easy. Any questions here?
No, Mr.
Okay, we continue. Great. Another keyword that actually we can utilize from within another aggregate, another function, another let's say a parameter that we can incorporate within the SQL queries, which is a distinct, or the all. We are going to use, actually the all we don't use because we know how to use the star, select star from. So we can write, if I'm going to say, for example, I'm going to write a query here, see, select star from, I'm going to say table, or I'm going to say here STDs. What does it mean? We're going to select everything, all records from which entity? From the students or STDs entity. So very easy. We can specify that we are going to extract everything like this, or we specify all like this, all star. So it is a common sense. So we use the all or not, it's a common sense. So because of this, I'm going to explain only the distinct word only. So rarely we find actually the use of the or like this, rarely on real field, because the so it's very enough. Because we write like this, or we write like this. Come on. Or we write like this without the all. This one is equal to this one. Those are two queries. They are actually having the same output at the same time. When actually interrogating an entity at the same time, they would have actually the same output. So why should we make it long? We make it small, and we use this one, the shortest. Thus, I'm going to explain only the distinct. The distinct is another keyword that we can utilize to extract fields values from a given entity, but when we use the distinct is that we are going to extract the values without duplication. Let me give you an example. How many students is named Fatma is studying at the University of Nizwa? How many students is named Muhammad? They are studying at the University of Nizwa. How many, let's say, how many student has got GPA 3.0? So many Fatmas, so many Muhammads, so many students got 3 GPA, so many. Okay, we want to extract only one candidate that is named Muhammad. One candidate only that is named Muhammad. For example, what should we do? Amongst the solutions is that we are going to type something like this. Select, I'm going to say, for example, everything here. I'm going to say, let's say everything is from, I'm going to specify the entity. And the entity is, let's say, for example, students or STD, students. Okay, STD profiles. Great. Profiles. Typos. We're going to extract everything from the student profiles, but we are willing to extract only one candidate that is named Muhammad. For example, we may use the word clause. We may use the word clause where actually, for example, we say name equal and between single quotations Muhammad. Okay, this can give actually the result. But in this case, we will extract only one record if it is available, only one. Otherwise, if there are more than one Muhammad in the table, all of them, they would be actually displayed. All of the Muhammad will be displayed, which is not the answer to the question. We need to display only one candidate that is named Muhammad. Okay, we can bring another modification to this query by just typing here before the star, we include top one star from the entity student profiles where the name is equal to Muhammad. Actually, this is another approach. And this way we solve the question. This way we solve the question. We are going to display only one appearance of the student is named Muhammad. Okay. The question is going to tell us, let's display all the availabilities in the table without duplication, all the availabilities. We don't know if there is Muhammad or Fatma or Ali or Khadija or whatever, we don't know, but without repetition, no duplication. So what should we do? This is not a solution. This query cannot give us a solution. And I'm going to type something different. To make you to give you the chance to compare. I'm going to say select star. I'm going to say from, choose the same entity, from the same entity, but I'm going to just add one keyword here. This blank space. That's it. Full stop. Which is better, even in shape? This one or this one? This is much more actually long and complex. We are using the top and we are using the word clause. Here we are only using the distinct word. This way, we are going to display all the values available in the entity student profiles, but without repetition, based on the keyword. Sorry, based on the primary key. So we're going to display all the, let's say, candidates based on the primary key without repetition. But in this way, I'm going to change, not star, I'm going to give name, for example. Distinct name from the entity student profiles. This way, it will display all the availabilities, all of them, without repetition, no repetition. Any questions? At the same time, actually,
No, Mr.
yeah, great. Here, actually, we
No,
are
doctor.
only, yeah, great. We are displaying only the name, but we can specify the last name. We can specify the GPA. All the fields available, we can specify them. Actually, we can separate them one by one using the commas, and we are going to display based on the this criteria, distinct names, means all the fields will be displayed, but without repeating the name. If there is a repeated name, it will not display the record. The full record will not be actually displayed. Okay, I'm gonna delete and return everything like it was. Sorry. So we continue. Okay, aggregate functions. We are going to display, let's say, a number of newspapers listed in a search, or let's say, in an entity inside a table. Actually, whatever the table is, we are going to give a literal to a header to display the number of newspapers available. That actually in which we are going to make an advertisement or something like that. So the outcome would be something like this. This is the literal we want to give to the this is the header literal we're going to give to the color, to the field. And the content is the number of appearances, the newspaper name, where the advertisement is. Okay, let's dig in. So we're going to simply just display its account. We are not going to display everything. It's just its count of what all the availabilities of this name here. This is a field actually. This is a field inside the newspaper, and this field actually how many times it has been appeared. We are going to count it. It will count the outcome here. The outcome to the header. This is a literal. We are putting it in between two single quotations. Equal. The equal here that it would have. This is the value of the field. This is actually the header of the field, and the value is the count. And everything is would be extracted from this newspaper. Literal. We defined this one actually earlier. You know what is it, and how why you are utilizing like why we are writing that this way. So simply, there would not be any outcome here stating newspaper number one. Sorry, newspaper name one, newspaper name two, and so on. No, that would be only numbers, because we are using the count. So how many fields are there? It would be actually displayed to us. Simply. Okay, this is an aggregate function. Account. Other aggregates, like we use the order by. We're going to use the group by as we use the order by. And the order by, we use it actually to sort based on time in the previous example, the time of the interview. But here we are going to use the group by for another purpose, in which we are going to display a list of values grouped by category, grouped by name, grouped by city, grouped by country, grouped by specialization, by major. That would be actually grouped by. We are going to display everything, yet in groups. We are going to bring them actually out in output, group by group. We'll see an example. Okay. Number of advertisement in actually in a newspaper. We are willing to have an output similar to this one. Actually, the output suggested newspaper actually ID, let's say, and the number of advertisements set in this newspaper. Okay, the draft. draft. We're going to select everything required in our case here, actually in our case, newspaper name and the advertisement. Yeah, great. The syntax here, all the fields we require. In our example, two only, the name or the ID and the number of the occurrences from the entity where we have a condition. Then the group by here. Actually, this is a certain, this is a grouping uh, aggregate that will actually help us to display what we are willing to extract in groups. So the syntax is as follows: the simple select the entity from and the clause where the conditional clause, and then after the grouping clause, or let's say the grouping aggregate. Okay, we are discussing the same topic, which is actually the number of the news, or let's say, or the advertisements set in a newspaper. We're going to display them, and we're going to use the group by to achieve that. Uh, Field number one, given a header. Field number two, which is a count. Simple count here, the number of advertisements, field number two. So the field number one is having a header, only simple header, but the content is the newspaper name or this newspaper ID or code here. The second field is given a header also, but the content is a count, is a number, count of occurrences. From the news ad, this is an entity name, whatever the entity is, and grouping by what? Grouping by code. So every group of IDs or a group of newspapers, they are going to display it all together, first of all. Then after we pass to the next. So they are grouped and displayed, grouped and displayed. Any questions in this example, please?
No, doctor.
Okay, great. As usual, we test and we execute and we test. Yes, great. Another example via which we are using the group. We are specifically here displaying, but we are excluding specific values. So we are using the in, which is actually the list operator. We are displaying specific fields. Type, it's a field. Type is a field. Advance, actually, it's an aggregate. It's a literal to a value, which is an aggregate in which we are just displaying the sum of content, the sum of the values in a field, the sum of a value or list of values in the field. This is a header. So we are having two fields at the end from an entity, and we are checking that the type, which is a field required to be extracted, it has to be in a list. The list is having the values: business, mud cook, fat cook. Those are actually values. Value number one, value number two, value number three. That's it. This is the list fully. And if the type is in this list, those two would be displayed: the type itself, in addition to the sum of the advance. And the ordering, the display, would be displayed based on type. All the groups of types, they would be actually displayed all together, grouped together, then displayed. Grouped together, then displayed here. And because of this all only here, because of this all, including the excluded values from the work clause from this block here, they would be actually also listed. Because of this all only. Even what this work clause has excluded means if, for example, the values in this type is not the values in this type, sorry, it's not available here. So all of those things, they would be actually still be displayed if there is any missing value, even if there is any missing value due to the work clause. Still, we are going to see actually a long list of aggregates, but even though actually these in real on field on the lab only. Any questions related to all of what we saw in this database? Understand the databases entity or unit or chapter. Actually, we are referring to the book number 2 in our TNA, which is the database, the SQL Server book. So it's from Microsoft. We saw all the necessary utilities that we might use in the lab to build and to design our solutions. Unless you have any questions, actually, we will pass to the entity number 3 or unit number 3, chapter number 3. Great, great. So actually, I give you a chance to ask if you have any questions related to all what we saw in the databases. Otherwise, let's get started. Great. So the actually the Arrow.net as a technology, I asked you at the beginning of this class today one question: what is or what are the technologies used by the developers to interconnect and help interchange data in between the front end solutions and the back end solutions? Amongst the solutions, it's not unique. Amongst the solutions that you can refer to is the Adore.net, the active data object over the .NET platform, the .NET framework. This is one of the technologies that the Microsoft has brought to life in order to help the ASP solutions get connected to the back-end solutions, which is mainly not only the SQL Server databases. Arrow.net. The Arrow.net active data object technology set by Microsoft would help developers interconnect front-end solutions, the APIs, the web pages means, the controls inside the web pages, and so on, exchange data in both directions, request and response, with the back-end solutions, mainly not only which is the Microsoft product, SQL Server, but the other that can help actually in interchanging data with other different back-end solutions like Oracle or post-SQL or whatever, PostgreSQL, sorry, DB2, and other professional backend technologies. Okay, abstract about the technology itself we are facing in this unit. The Arrow.net is a keyword, is a shortcut to Active Data Object, which is a Microsoft product technology. Mainly, it's a library. It's a dictionary of predefined functions and procedures that we are going to use whenever we need to either help in passing a request or receiving a response from and to front and back end solutions. A library is a collection of, as I said, methods, functions, and procedures, no more, no less. The uh, the main functionality behind of this interchange that the Adobe.NET enhance is that we are going to utilize a relational, let's say, specific type of databases, which is the relational database. And here we are going to see an ordered list of um, entities and, let's say, resources, objects available in background that we have to deal with constraints. With constraints, the referential integrities and others we are going to obey to, and the Adobe.NET would see that and would actually deal with that and would help the developers to deal with that. So at the end of the day, the relational database management systems they would be actually referred to from the front end solutions using the Adobe.NET as a technology. And this is an interface at the end of the day, the Adobe.NET, that would play the passerelle or the gateway in between the front end, what the customers see, and the back end, what the what technology is holding the objects that has the data in question. Can you repeat what I said about this Adobe.NET, please? Here, are you able to summarize what I just defined about this Adobe.NET? I suppose that it is yes, since you are not responding. Great. Okay. This technology here, the Adobe.NET, it is a Microsoft product, yes, and thus it is not working by itself. There are other external, let's say, stakeholders that they are actually given other functionalities to enhance the work of the Adobe.NET, stating here, not only stating the ActiveX. The ActiveX is one of the technologies that the Microsoft also has brought to life, the ActiveX. It deals with specific browsers mainly, and nowadays we are seeing it working with other different browsers. But first of all, it was brought to life to deal with the Microsoft browsers, which are the Edge and the Internet Explorers nowadays. Yet they are actually seen as plugins with Google Chrome and other browsers. This interaction here, it is to help achieving better work in between the front end and the back end. Uh, and all of this is based on two scenarios, which are either in a connected mode or in a disconnected mode. In a scenario of putting the connectivity and the data is continuously read from back end, whatever data is displayed in the front end, it is continuously read from a back end resource and being displayed usually from a back end. We talk about a connected mode. Otherwise, we just display and stop there. We make a connection to the back end from the front end to read the data, and we disconnect. And every time a user requests the data to be displayed or requests a new page, the data would be requested again from the back end to be redisplayed or to be displayed at the front end solution or front end page. This is a disconnected mode. So connection, disconnection. Whenever request is passed, there is a connection. Otherwise, we disconnect. Disconnect what? Disconnect the interface where the data is displayed from the back end where the data resides. to gain space and to gain time and to gain actually computation time by the processor, server processor and client's processor. Whatever the technology used, provided here to help in achieving the connectivity between the front end and the back end, it would be done actually whether in a connected mode or in a disconnected mode. This is the theoretical understanding that you have to refer to. Okay, you have to memorize. Uh, when we said that the Adobe.NET is a sort of a library that Microsoft has brought to life, and since it is a library holding predefined methods, those methods, they are functions or procedures, so those methods actually they are going to be referred to through groups. And we talk here about namespaces. We talk about namespaces. So to deal with the back end technologies, we have to refer to specific namespaces. In our example here, the SQL client, the first one, it's not unique. The SQL client here, it's from the data and it's from the system. Those are a path to the list of methods that are responsible for helping us execute and retrieve data from execute commands and retrieve data from the back end. SQL client, it is a class that holds methods responsible for methods, I said. Responsible for passing commands to be executed, and to help in retrieving the responses and things like that. SQL Server specifically here, it is, and we said that, and we stated that already, unit number one, it is defined, sorry, no, unit number two, not one, unit number two, since we are talking about the SQL Server, it is defined actually specific and dedicated data types, which are mainly dedicated, which are mainly four data types: the day, the time, and date time. They are actually four data types defined specifically for the SQL Server, and they can be run only within an SQL Server environment. So the SQL types, it's another class where we find actually specific, let's say, data types being called and being defined here. When we say that the date time is specific here, when we say that the date time is specific data type to the SQL Server, how the SQL Server will recognize that is due to specific methods that they define the new type, the new types. Yeah. Yeah, this is actually for a better process. You may say actually why you talk about types. This is actually to avoid any, let's say, conditional work or any specific behavior that does not match the request within a process. So we may use specific types. The very common actually library that would actually hold the majority of the classes and methods responsible for helping the Adobe.NET to run is the system.data, the data itself, the data library. Here we talk about the classes mainly, not only, because you may find actually here functionalities to call. The data would hold the classes responsible for the totality of the Adobe.NET framework or namespaces. Yes, they are the namespaces only of the not available under this here namespace, the system.data. When we say Adobe.NET functionality, why? Because there there are not only namespaces here, there are not only classes here, but we may find methods also. in the system.data. Okay, we come to the definition of the connected mode and disconnected mode here. We said that the connected mode is a context via which we maintain or a system maintains a connection active in between the front end technology and the back end technology. Yes, the first interface would remain actually connected to the back end technology where the data resides continuously until the user closes the system. This is a connected architecture, connected mode. Yes, it is one of the things. We see the drawbacks later on. But for now, this is the simple definition. The disconnected mode or the disconnected architecture, it's a scenario via which an interface would gain a connection to, would set a connection to the back-end technology only for retrieving a specific value, and immediately right after we disconnect. We use specific actually classes and specific, let's say, tools to do so, which is the data set here. It is specifically set for doing short time connections, retrieving or let's say passing data to or from the backend solution, and then after getting disconnected, freeing up the connection path or circuit. Whenever we need connection, then execution, then disconnection. Whenever the user requires something from the data store, there will be a connection, then after execution, then after immediately disconnection. This is disconnected architecture. There is no continuous connection from the front end to the back end until the application is being closed. No. Disconnected mode, no. The connection would be happening only if the user requests something. By clicking a button, by opening a page, by passing a mouse over something, it depends. Any questions, please?
No, Mister.
No,
If you
Mr.
hear,
No,
if you
doctor.
hear, great. If you hear your name, please say yes.